Okay, so hello, my Erasmus colleagues. Uh, my task is to show you something about the software which is called the Storyboard. That. Well, where we start? We should ask the question what the storyboard is, what it is. So basically, when we teach our students to memorize things, we can say that 65% of the world or 65% of your learners are visual learners. So what does it mean that storyboard is very helpful for most of your students. So uh, you can see that the storyboard is dealing with the visual learning. So let's find out more about that. Okay, so I think that nobody likes long definitions, but I have one here. So the storyboard is an easy to use tool that encourages and facilitates digital and visual storytelling across grade levels and curricula. That is what a Wikipedia says about the storyboard. That. Okay, let's go into the next slide. So the storyboard is a creation platforms for students and teachers. So it can be used by your students and also by teachers. Teachers are preparing materials for students and students can make assignments, for example, in the software. It uses uh, drag and drop art, which means that you just simply dragging pictures into the row and you are making this kind of comics. Well, in every image that the storyboard has itself, you can change color of the weather, you can change the poses of the actor, and you can do a lot of more stuff. I will show you that later on in the presentation. You can also add some text, speech bubbles, etc. It is also good for making a mind maps, but we will be dealing with that later on. So how can I use Storyboard that? Well, this software is having different layouts that you can choose to make your comics. So for example, you can use, like we have here, the pictures with the dimensions of 8 to 11 inches. So it will be something like this. You can customize these images and you can resize them. You can create some fable, myth, picture book, or whatever you can think of. Well, the good thing about this that you can have this kind of chapter summaries. I can zoom it a little bit so you can see better. You can use some kind of subtitle, or you can use the bubbles instead of these subtitles. You can choose which one you like the most or which one fits the best. It is suitable to practice conversation and dialogue for English language or for dialogue or conversation classes in your school. So if you are teaching English or any other different language, you can use this as a very good example. Well, student can also recreate a story. What does it mean? If you are dealing with the language, you know that there's a lot of stories in our students book which can you very simply recreate in this software. Students can create visual comparisons of groups and people or objects. um, we will be doing as an assignment a story which will be dealing with the cyberbullying, so we will get to it later on. Very good thing about the storyboard is that you can use it as a platform or as a tool for long-term projects. What does it mean? Your students can do these assignments for one semester. Okay, the main goal will be to make a story which will be, connected to your curricula. Okay. Your students can also make a research on the storyboard. Well, for example, if we are looking on some event or a situation that is posted in a story uh, in the in this software, they can use it as a research, for example, for other people to see their point of view on particular situation or event. The teacher can also adjust the difficulty of the task or of the assignment, so the students can complete their assignment in variety of different ways with the storyboards, posters, graphics, novels, and more. We'll get to that in a second. It also allows students to work entirely visually if needed. So, for example, if you have a student that is dealing with the or suffering with the dyslexia or other different reading or writing difficulties, they can use this as a good platform. Here we have a very good poster about William Shakespeare. When was he born? What did he write about, etc. So you can create a posters on or infographics centering around a person, event, era, or concept to present. So you can choose whatever character in whatever era and do this kind of infographics, and then you can use these infographics in your school. You can post them in the school so the other students can see your work. So if you end up with a fully functional project, you can then export it in a different way. So it can be an image, it can be done in PDF format, or you can make a video of moving cells one after another. There's also a lot of stuff in the library of this software. There are a lot of worksheets to be completed by your students or together with them. You can create a story together or 1 to 3 cell each, so everyone can participate in making such an infographics or making a comic. Here you can see other examples what you can do with this software. So for example, you can create digital worksheets, guided notes, you can make a bell ringers, you can also make some anchor charts that can be printed out as a handout to your students. So the features of the storyboard. So what can you expect from this program? The first thing which is very good is that you do not need any kind of account or you do not need to register. You can use your Google account or Office 365, you can use Facebook or whatever social network that you are already registered in. You can create assignments and assign them to your students. You can use the templates different for every student. You can copy the pre-made assignments from another lesson plans, and you can customize them as well. Very useful tool in the storyboard is that you can monitor your students' progress at any time, so you can see if they are working on their long-term project or not. I will get to that later if we move to the program. So it looks like that. So you have your students, your class, for example, the class 1, and you can see that Anne Adams is having this first storyboard in her library. So you can check it and you can see when it was updated. To start using the storyboard, you can use the pre-formatted templates which are available on the web page, and you can also easily copy to your account and add assignments that your students can customize. You can also use poster templates which are made for the horizontal and vertical view. You can use these templates, they are free available in the library, or you can create a new project just from the scratch. You can also use infographic templates for the general subjects of your school. There's also plenty of worksheet templates, as we were talking about handouts. You can use these templates to make a portrait or landscape paper size layout. Here we have some examples of that. You can also use these illustrated guides for your students as an assignment, and after they create their project you can post it on your bulletin board or on the wall in your school. It's very helpful. You can also use these kind of lesson plans for different subjects or grade levels. You can check them in the library of this software. So the lesson plans, this is just a part for your teachers, so students can rest a bit. Lesson plans are pre-made in this software, and you can use them just by logging in to the storyboard. For example, if you are dealing with the literature, you can see here we have a story about King Odysseus, which went with Athena on his boat, and he met a lot of people, and in the end we know what happened. So yes, so you can sequence a plot, diagram activities for narrative structure. You can compare and contrast characters, text. This is very useful when you will be dealing with the cyberbullying. You can use the visual vocabulary. You can use a transition to chapter books by creating infographics, novels and comics. You can also use it to illustrate the hero's journey like we have here. Okay, so we will continue. So if you are teaching history, you can also make very good stories, for example, about the first settlements in the USA. So we have a Jamestown, Plymouth, etc., etc. So for the history teachers, you can create infographics, posters. You can identify key causes and effects of major events. You can illustrate points of primary source documents. So if you are dealing with the research, as we said, you can use these to illustrate the primary source of some kind of information. You can also contrast and compare historical data or events, time periods, and more. So that's for the history. Next we have math. So what is this? The introduction to geometry. Very nice example for what you can use the storyboard. So you can introduce geometry to students with sorting activities, create comics, create visuals to introduce angles, create math comics to show word problems, fractions, or practical applications. If you are English teacher like Robert is, you can use these to illustrate a different vocabulary, to process or practice the dialogue, writing, conversation, etc., etc. There is, a lot of options about the storyboard use in the class. Special education. So if you are dealing with the younger kids, you can write custom social stories or use pre-made ones as a starting point. Hi, I'm Sarah and I love school. Do you love school? Yes, especially after pandemic. Create emotion storyboards to help students recognize or express emotions. This is also a very good topic that you will be dealing in the storyboard with the cyberbullying topic. Okay, so the benefits of storyboard that, well, it's completely private, so you do not need to worry about the privacy. The admin or your teacher can control your progress in a long-term project, for example. You can, as a teacher, create or give assignments to the students, and you can integrate it with your kind of criteria on your students, how you will evaluate your assignment. Storyboards that is very easy to customize. You can express individual characters in that story. You can alter an existing templates to tailor them for your lesson. Well, also you can do whatever you want and you can storyboard that or storyboard it. It is very versatile software, so you can use it in different subjects or different grade levels. I think that the grammar school can deal with that very easily. Okay, so that's it for the presentation, and now we are going to the software and we are going to use it in the real life. Okay, so welcome to the demonstration of this program called Storyboard, that in which you can create novels, storyboards, or other stuff. So the first thing we are going to do, we are going to type storyboard.com into the URL and click on login. If you have a Google account, you can use the Google account, but if you don't, you can use the 2-second register process as well. Please note that you are allowed to use two storyboards once in a week. So if you want to make the third one, you have to delete one of your previous two storyboards. In the home page, you will see your existing storyboards that you have already created. You can delete them by clicking on the delete button. Let's create the first storyboard. So here we are. You can see that the storyboards are blank initially. Okay, so let's do the first layout. With the free account, you are only allowed to use the 3 by 2 layout. So this is for the free account. So let's use it. And now I have 6 cells. In order to have the title in the description, you have to click on layout. You can choose the title and the cell, cell and description, and title, cell and description. For our purposes, we will choose cell and description. Okay, so let's name the first scene. For example, we can say it's a scene 1. Next thing I'm going to show you is how to change the scene. So you have to click on the scenes, and there you have a lot of default scenes that you can use just by clicking on the description and dragging it into the space of your cell. You can edit the scene by clicking on edit, and then you can adjust the time of the day, the weather, houses, or the lights which are on the scene. Very useful thing. You can choose whatever you want and use it. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a character. So again, from the menu you can drag and drop the character you want to. So for example, we can choose this one and pick one from the list. For example, this one. You can also edit this character, so you can change the color of the hair or skin, or change the color of eyes, etc. There's a lot of options. You can also adjust the pose. You can use the front view, back view, or from the side. You can choose the expression of each character. You can adjust also the left or right arm or its head, and choose which suits the best for your purpose or for your expression. Okay, so just click here. Important thing that if you want to use this character in the multiple cells, you can click on it and duplicate it, and again drag and drop into the different cell and adjust the angle or the orientation of the character. You can also resize it or place it somewhere in your scene. Okay, so now let's add some text with our text bubbles. You can again choose which bubble you will use. For example, I'm going to click on this and drop it down here. And again, you can put some text and change the font of the text which you insert into the bubble. If you want to again change the font, you have to highlight it, and then you can change font to your special one. Okay. Next thing, you can adjust the size of the font or any other stuff that you need to. You can also use some shapes. So for example, you have basic shapes, again the 3D shapes, the symbols, arrows. For example, you have also the hands that you can pick and use it in your storyboard. You can also change some infographics or use some science or worksheets. This is very useful for schools. But what I wanted to show you is to use the objects. Because you have a free account, you cannot upload anything to your account. You can only use the things that are in the program. So for example, I'm going to write that I want the stick. Yes, the program is saying that you can upgrade your license and pay us a lot of money. No thanks. Let's continue. Okay, so here is the walking stick that I wanted to use. You can again resize it or use a different shape of it. I will use it as it is. It should be fine. If you want to put some animal in here, you can do that by clicking on characters, then on animals, and choose what animal you would like to have in your story. So in my opinion, I would choose this goat. I'm sorry, not a goat, but a sheep. Okay, so let's resize it. Another good thing that you can put inside your cell is a silhouette. If you want some bench of people in the background, you can choose from this list. It's a list of silhouettes. But if you want to have some different scene, or you can have also some patterns into your cell, you can just again drag and drop it into the scene, and the scene will be looking as you would like to have. So okay, so you can use whatever fun stuff, but very important thing is to save your project. So to save your project, you have to click on save and name some title of your project. Let's say, so I'm going to write Mr. J's storyboard and click on save storyboard. Saving is very important because if you do not have the premium account, the autosave is disabled, so you have to save often. Okay, so if you want to again edit your project, you can click on edit and you are back working on it. Okay, so once again, the saving is very important for you not to lose your storyboard. So just click save here. Okay, so if you want to share your work with your teacher, you can do that by sharing the URL, but this is not the URL that you want to share because this is in edit mode. If you want to share your URL link to your teacher, you must first save your project, click save and exit. After that, you can scroll down a little bit and view the details of the project. So if you click on view details, you will get the URL that you can share with your teacher. It's this one. This is one way of sharing your story, but besides that, you can also, oh, I'm sorry, I just have to go back to my story and click here. So now I'm back in the edit mode. Once again, I will click on save. Now save and exit. And now if you go down below, scroll down, and there you have a download button. Click on that, and my advice is to download as a PDF document. Okay, so that's basically it. If you will have any issues or get stuck with the program, feel free to contact me on my email address, and I will try to solve your problem. Okay, thank you.